Good evening. I call this meeting of the Castleberry Independent School District Board of Education to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. As a reminder, we are here for what is best to promote and encourage achievement for every student in our district. Right now, we will have our invocation. If you don't mind standing with me. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to serve this district. Thank you so much for the people that serve this district. Thank you so much for those people who sacrifice their time and are willing, in some cases, to sacrifice their lives and their riches to serve our community. We ask that you bless them and bless those who did this for our community and our state and our country. We ask that you bless us as we go through tonight. Give us wisdom. In Christ's name I pray. Amen. We appreciate everyone being here this evening, and we always welcome communication from citizens of our district. Individuals who wish to participate during the portion of the meeting designated for public comment shall sign up with the presiding officer or designee no later than 1 p.m. to the day of the board meeting, and shall indicate the agenda item or topic on which they wish to address the board. Ms. Branch, do we have anyone who wishes to speak to the board tonight?
No, we do not.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 4, Ms. Smith-Faulkner, were there any questions called in regarding the consent agenda?
There were some questions on the compensation plan, but they're going to be answered later in the presentation.
Okay. On that note, we will jump from 5A to 5B, the May 2026 STAR results. Mr. Hutchins.
Good evening, Board President Tolliver, Superintendent Smith-Faulkner, and board members. I'm elated to speak with you about the 2026 STAR scores this evening. A little bit of information. These are just our first look raw scores that we have for you tonight. So these are not what we're going to see on that accountability reports that we'll get a little bit later. Also, these have not been filtered down by that snapshot based on our student enrollment in October. And this also does not include those STAR Alt 2 students. And so as we look at that taper report a little bit later in the year, we may see some discrepancies, but this is just your first look, and I'm going to compare first look last year to first look this year to give you all the best picture of kind of what's going on. To kind of give a very brief overview, every slide is going to have a continuum from that darker red up until that dark green, representing the amount of growth from year to year. And so once again, we're looking at first look last year, first look this year. And so without further ado, let's jump into the numbers. We're going to start things off on third grade English. And so on each of the slides, they're going to look very similar. We've got the state of Texas last year, but you'll notice we do not yet have the state scores this year. And so we're not going to be able to make those comparisons yet. When we get that information, we'll certainly dive in. You're going to see Castleberry ISD last year to Castleberry ISD this year, and then the breakdown by each campus. And so immediately we see lots of growth, lots of green across the board, some double-digit green in meets, which is just outstanding. I also want to draw your attention to some green check marks. We always kind of use that state performance as a baseline. And so when we look at A.B. Cato meets at 26%, that was actually higher than the state scored last year. So while we don't know the narrative for this year, to see them performing at that level is just absolutely outstanding. As we look over to Joy James, it's so fun to have a real audience. This is amazing. This is, I know, right? Now, Joy James, we never like to see red. That's not a situation we like to be in. But recall last year that Joy James significantly outperformed the state across the board. That was a team that got to loop with their kids And even though they are a little bit behind where they were last year, they're performing right in line with the whole rest of the district. And so overall, no reason for them not to keep taking a step forward, and not a major concern for that grade level. As we look over at third grade Spanish, amazing, amazing work. We got double-digit gains in so many areas. As you look at where the state was performing last year, nearly every category, every campus was outperforming where the state was. So exceptional, exceptional work across the board. Great to see that not only are we serving those kids on the English side, but Spanish as well, performing exceptionally well. Looking over at fourth grade. Looking over fourth grade, really nice growth in approaches. We did have a little tiny decline in meets and masters. This is the same situation as we look at AV Cato. Last year, AV Cato significantly, nearly double-digit outperformed the state. They're still the strongest performing campus, but just a little bit behind where they were. So last year, so overall, it looks like we went in a bad way, but still performing very, very well, and even outperforming where the state was last year. CE had a little bit of a challenge with some scheduling, but that has been addressed this year and moving forward. And so we've addressed all those things, and so no reason why we're going to see any red moving forward. Over on the fourth grade side, double-digit gains across the board at Joy James, the district overall. Now, we did see a little bit of red at AV Cato, but as we dove in a little bit more, of those 7 students, I believe 4 or 5 of those are newcomers. And so those are students that just need a little bit longer in the Castleberry system to see that success. And so even though we, like I said, never want to see any red, it's specific to that group of kids, and as they work through our system, we'll continue to see their growth and support. Moving over to 5th grade. Wow. Wow. I got to stand in front of this group last summer, and have a similar conversation, but it was not nearly this positive. Outstanding work across the board, looking at where the state was, so many places that were performing well above where the state was last year, double-digit growth in a lot of different places, a lot of great things happening in 5th grade, and so it's exciting as that has been a very big focus on the RLA side. Spanish tells a very similar story. Look at that, across the board, meets double-digit gains in all areas. And even though we saw a tiny little red with 6 students, that's a difference of 1 or 2 kids. We're talking a very small population. So once again, exceptional work on the RLA side. So very, very amazing, very fun to celebrate and see that great work there. So congratulations. Moving over to 3rd grade math. 3rd grade math was a big district priority. A lot of work, effort, and energy went into. And so the very most important thing to start with is looking at that meets goal, because we've been talking meets all the way. Meets has been a big focus. Well, lots of growth, lots of gains in meets. And that 3rd grade group that was performing a little low at Joy James on the reading side also is not quite as strong a cohort on the math side. So we know moving forward in 4th grade, that's going to be a target area. That's going to be an area of support. But across the board, lots of good success, lots of growth, and component scores looking great everywhere. Over at 4th grade, once again, across the board, very nice gains. Meets across the board, we're seeing those increases, so great things happening there. A tiny dip on the master side, but good things happening. And those strong cohort from 3rd grade last year is performing well in 4th grade over at Joy James, so they're seeing that cohort continue to move and be successful. And then finally over at 5th grade, double-digit approaches gains, double-digit gains, nearly double-digit gains, performing in line with the state. We had a couple of challenges in some staffing, had to make some changes over at Joy James, but to still see those students meeting that passing standard, increasing, so exceptional work on the math side, because that has also been a big district focus this year. So congratulations on that elementary math side as well. Science. Then there was science. Everything's going good. I looked at the calendar a little earlier today. Our students in the district took this test 6 weeks ago. So the state of Texas has had the results. They know if they're right or wrong for 6 weeks. However, the state is still unable to determine what passing, what meets, what masters is for our students in science. And so they have told us, hopefully within the month, But I'm unable to report to you until the state can determine what is that passing threshold. So unfortunately, don't have a lot of information to share with you on science because the state has yet to determine what those standards are. And so it's going to look over the same on the 5th grade Spanish as well. So now, shifting over to the middle school. Yes,
Just
ma'am.
real question on science. Is this the first year that all of the TEKs are being assessed?
This is,
Because I know there was transition year. I don't know.
I thought we're still missing one part.
Okay. No worries.
And we can get that clarification. I thought we're still missing one piece of the transitional.
I know, I didn't know where we were.
So
with that,
we'll get that clarity. Now, before we actually jump into our middle school scores, I want to pull back this slide that I shared with y'all last year. When we looked at 5th grade RLA last summer, from 2024 to 2025, we saw huge dips in approaches across the way. This was a cohort that we understood going in was going to be a challenge. And so we knew they had extra work on ACE to support that. There was a lot of targeted interventions, but we understood that in looking at this cohort, we had some challenges in front of us. And so as we look over at the 6th grade scores this year, we came in just a little bit behind on approaches, nearly identical in meets, and actually maintained masters with a group of students that were coming in significantly weaker. And so I think that is a celebration of sorts in the fact that they were able to close those academic gaps for these kids coming in at a significant different place to start the year. The big highlight for me is 7th grade. 7th grade last year was not a positive situation. We had significant drops. However, the performance this year, 20% gain in approaches. That's 20% more students meeting that passing standard. Nearly 20% meeting grade level expectations and doubling the masters from last year. And if you look at those scores, that's above where the state was for approaches, meets, and masters last year. Exceptional work. And I know one of those teachers just walked in ecstatic about that. So as we play the accountability game, not only do we have to outperform where we were last year, but we can't forget about these kids we knew were struggling. We knew that those kids going in had kind of a tough 7th grade experience. However, through the work of some outstanding 8th grade teachers, they took a group that was at 60% approaching grade level, passing to 75%. They took 38% to 49%. They took 13% to 18%. So across the board, exceptional work there. Working with a group of kids that had some challenges, made it happen, made some great things work. So exceptional work across the board on the RLA side over at the middle school. Now, 5th grade math, that's the same 6th grade cohort right now. 5th grade math coming in, we knew we had some challenges. That group came in 10% lower in approaches, nearly 7% lower in meets. We knew that this was a group of kids coming in that needed some extra support. We've had 2 targeted ACE teachers from some super veteran, the best that we got in the district, and we had a very uphill battle with this group of kids. And so as we look over at the data for 6th grade, similar to what we saw in English, came up just a little bit short in approaches, nearly completely closed the gap from last year from where they were, and were able to just come in behind on masters. But once again, a lot of work went in. We knew the story, we knew the kids, we knew what had to happen, and the fact that we got this close to where we performed with a much stronger cohort just says a lot about the work, the dedication that made it happen to make 6th grade work. Over on 8th grade. Now, if you look at these 8th grade scores last year, we went from 60 approaches to 71. We went from 35% meets to 44% meets. That's a pretty neat story. That's a pretty solid growth. We're pretty happy with that. But you may recall when I shared some information with you is we're trying something new in Castleberry where we're trying to say, hey, we want to give more kids an opportunity to try Algebra 1, to be on path to Algebra 1. So when we tested this year, we had almost 200 additional students taking that advanced test. So we added 200 on-level students and still saw these exceptional gains. And so that could not have been done without that team working hard every single day. And so just absolutely amazing. And then you look at where the state was at 69% meeting that approaching standard. With all students combined, we're actually outperforming where the state was last year. So just across the board, exceptional work there in math. I'm not allowed to make a joke about TA being busy in the area, so I'll just keep on going. Social studies has certainly been a district priority. We've been talking about it a lot. I was very pleased to see some nice growth in approaches, meets, and masters. So across the board, good component growth. So very, very nice to see that we've started to make some positive trends, and we've made some changes at the campus that I think will even make another big step forward for this next year. So excited to see that we have some good growth over there in social studies. Finally, over into course, U.S. history is typically an area that we've been very, very successful. We did see just a slight dip on the approaches level, but the meets numbers with near double-digit growth, and then masters more than doubled. Exceptional work over there. And if you look at overall accountability, we've talked about, I heard y'all went through a training about accountability, and you're looking at component scores. Well, that component score, when you average approaches, meets, masters, went from 49 to 55. So nearly a 6-point gain. When you talk about the high school, and you talk about the high school representing 40% of our overall district accountability, and we see that type of growth, that has significant impacts on the overall district accountability. So that's very, very exciting to see. Even Reach, seeing some really nice growth. They don't always work with the best and brightest. They're working with students that may have had to retest, students that are trying to get their credits taken care of. And so to see those really nice gains across the board as well, very, very nice for Reach. Over at biology, very, very similar story, just barely behind on approaches, but then nice growth in meets and masters, double-digit growth across the board. So exceptional work on biology. With the middle school, this is our 31 STEM kids that are involved trying to accelerate into that biology program. Now, when you put numbers up like 100, 139, that becomes very challenging to beat. How do you go up from there? But veteran teacher, Tia recognized, knocked it out of the ballpark, took 100, 139 to 100, 158% meet. So exceptional work over there. Great things happening. Once again, nice gains all the way across for Reach, so good things happening there, making those kids get what they need to take care of it to make that happen. Looking over at algebra. Last year was not our best year. We had some red across the board. We were not performing like we have previously done. However, you're seeing double-digit gains in approaches, double-digit gains in meets, and nice gains in masters for a component jump of 12 points. Directly positively impacting that district overall score. Also, like we talked about verbology, we have 89 students that have been accelerating and taking that early, and they saw gains in meets and masters and improved overall accountability. And you'll see where the state was last year, lots and lots of check marks where they're performing at or above that state level, which is exceptional. Reach had 2 students hit meets, exceptional work there as well. So just across the board, some great things happening. We've been talking about, one last note there. We've been talking a lot about retesters. Retesters were a district focus. When I presented to you all last summer, we had 93 retesters for Algebra 1. Through working the system, through having those targeted intervention plans, we've gotten that list down to 3 students remaining from that original 93. So 90 students were removed. And that couldn't be done without targeted tracking, the intervention plans the high school carries out. And because of this huge growth in approaches, we've now started this year with only 43, so we've removed 50 to start with. So just in a much better situation moving forward. And so overall, just really great things happening on the algebra side. Now, before I talk about English, English can be a challenge. We had a new coordinator come in. We've had to do some staffing changes, and so we've had a lot of new members on that English team. We had to implement a brand new AI program because our original adoption wasn't quite meeting the needs. So it's been a year of change. However, if we look at this next slide, they knocked it out of the ballpark. Absolutely. We have 16% more of our English 1 students that are on track to graduate now than last year. We have nearly double-digit gains, or more than double-digit gains on meets, and we saw an 11-point component jump on English 1. Furthermore, approaches, we're now performing in line with the state, and that's not always a conversation we get to have in English. Exceptional work, amazing what's happening there. And just one more layer, we talked about the retesters. Last summer, I told y'all we had 157 retesters, kids that were not on track to graduate. We worked the plan, worked the system. We have whittled that down to 20, which is exceptional work. A lot of people in the room were very involved in making that happen. But through that huge increase in scores, we now have 54 less retesters to start the conversation with at this point. And so just exceptional work, great things happening, and just exceptionally proud of all the work that's going into that. English 2 tells a very similar story. Nice little approaches gain, very nice meets gain, nearly across the board, great things happening. That retesters that started at 131 and is now at only 27, we've reset the clock and we're starting with 100, so 31 less retesters to start the conversation with. Now working the plan, working the system, and keeping those students at the forefront. No reason not to continue to see some great things. So overall, exceptional work from everyone in the room that made this happen, because this is pretty darn exciting to see, and we're about to see this turn into accountability, which is just exceptionally exciting, because I think we're going to see some great things very soon. Now, I could show you my color coordinate and I could put the things together, but when we're getting recognized from local authorities or even Harvard and Stanford and Dartmouth, I did a little more research, Education Scorecard analyzes 8,000 schools across the nation every year that have standardized test data that they can look at. And so they realized that there's some pretty great things happening at Castleberry, to the point where we made their top 108 list. And so, in reading, when they analyze who is making the most positive trends and the positive growth, Castleberry ranked in the top 5% or the 95th percentile in the nation for the amount of growth happening in Castleberry. Exceptional work. Then they took it a step further and they looked at all schools that had more than 1,200 students that serve as Hispanic students. We're actually the top 30 out of 1,400 schools as far as the growth of our Hispanic students in reading. So exceptional work each and every day. And this was before all of these green scores that I just shared with y'all this evening. And so this is just from 2022 to 2025. And when you look over in math, it even gets better, if it could be possible. Castleberry ISD scored in the top 28 out of 5,468 districts in the amount of growth that we made year after year from 2022 to 2025. And when they analyzed schools that service Hispanic students, we're second out of 1,330 schools nationally as far as this happening. And so I think this gentleman from Harvard said it best on the next slide. He says, Castleberry and 107 other districts on the rise show that leadership matters and that demographics are not destiny. This is Dr. Kane from the Faculty Director, Center of Education Policy. We owe it to our children to understand what we're doing and help spread it, because there's really great things happening here in Castleberry. And I'm just happy to share these words with y'all. And if there's anything I can answer for you, I will be doing my very best. So thank y'all.
That's the best presentation I've ever seen.
I will tell you, it's fun. I call them happy numbers when I get to come out, and it's a celebration. There's a lot of fear of STAR, but when it shows you the amazing things we do, it's unfortunate that we put the pressure that we do, but to see the success, that's the work that the people behind me every single day for these kids, it's pretty darn impressive, because we're doing some amazing things, and now it's being shown on the national stage is pretty darn cool. So thank y'all, thank y'all.
And I just would like to add to that, that the community recognizes the hard work, and they're so proud of what's going on here. So thank you so much for sticking with our community and working so hard and making these things happen. And I think that's all of our motto, is that leadership matters and demographics are not our destiny. So thank you so much. What a proud moment we have today.
I just wanted to share that on top of the quantitative data that we're obviously seeing great trends in, you did it without missing or skipping a beat, and that sense of belonging and the connection for the students and their families and the community. And my voice gets shaky because that's how important education is. You're changing families, lives, generations, and not just in the formal educative space, but for everything else they're going to have for their futures. So thank y'all for all the work that you do, and I'm just going to leave it there.
You guys know I have something to say. I just want to start by telling you guys thank you for all your hard work. I know we ask hard questions, I know we push hard, but you are doing amazing work. I tell you, I work in districts across the country, not just the state of Texas, and what we are doing here is special. And it takes each and every one of you. This is a village, and you are each part of an amazing ecosystem. And to Ariela's point, my voice is getting shaky because I'm so proud of this moment. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Our kids deserve it, and you deserve all the praise. So muchas gracias.
I also want to say thank you, but what I have in my mind, I'm thinking, what part of this do we take and make a new T-shirt for the district, you know? We need to be wearing this out on the street so everybody knows that we are from Castleberry. Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you. You're going to hear a lot of thank yous tonight. And I'm so proud that my grandchildren are in the school district and my nieces and nephews. So that makes me very proud, and just spreading the word to everybody to come to Castleberry and just join our team. So thank y'all so much.
The other day, I was able to participate in our awards here in the district and this particular on this campus. And what I was telling the staff is that it's all the little things that we look at with a fine-tooth comb and do that. These little things, when you do them correctly and they all come together, they end up really big things. And I think that we've been working on putting such foundational things in the district, and we've added an after-school program. We have this progress monitoring, which, you know, it is rigorous. Our progress monitoring is, I'm seeing head shake, it's rigorous. And I think that then we turn around and we have action plans that the campuses come up with. We have retention and staff. Right now, we're seeing that we have about a 9% turnover rate. It's the lowest we've had, and that means that you guys have bought into the system. You're here, you will do the work. And you're getting the student outcomes, and I couldn't be prouder for you, because I know a lot of times student outcomes also mean TIA money, and I want you guys to be paid for all this hard work that you deserve because of the outcomes that you're getting with our students. Thank you for choosing Castleberry. Thank you, leaders, for your leadership. It is so appreciated, because your hard work and the little things that we've been fine-tuning are really starting to be big things.
As a parent to a current Castleberry student and watching her struggle when she got here and was at Joy James, and seeing the success she has made at Irma Marsh and the strides that have happened and just the extra attention that goes into her, thank you for all you do for her and all her friends and every student at Castleberry.
I only had one thing to add. These last few years have been tough for the district, have been tough on you especially, have been tough budget-wise, and it makes it even more impressive. Thank you. Yeah. So now we're jumping back up to 5A
Yes.
with Ms. Offenbaker.
Yes, at this time, Mr. Board President, you're going to want to stay to hear this next presentation also. Abby Offenbaker, our Communications Coordinator, will recognize Castleberry campuses who placed in this year's Fort Worth Star-Telegram DFW favorites.
All right, well, that was a tough act to follow, but we have a lot of celebrations going on tonight. So, good evening. Tonight, I'm proud to share the Castleberry ISD's achievements in the 2026 DFW Favorites Contest. A little bit about the contest. The DFW Favorites Contest is an annual awards program presented by the Fort Worth Star-Telegram that celebrates top businesses, organizations, schools, and community contributors across the DFW Metroplex. Now in its 4th year, the contest continues to grow. This year, there were more than 300,000 votes cast across the region. In the education-related categories where Castleberry ISD schools and programs were represented, there were more than 400 nominations combined. So, first of all, I want to begin by recognizing 2 campuses that have continued to hold the top spot in their respective categories. Congratulations to Castleberry Elementary, So Castleberry Elementary earned gold in the elementary school category for the 3rd consecutive year. This year, there were more than 95 elementary schools nominated across DFW, and Castleberry Elementary remained in the top spot. At this time, if you're a CE staff member, please make your way to that side of the room. We're going to pose for a photo and then move to the next one. All right, thank you, CE. Next, we would like to say congratulations to Irma Marsh Middle School. Irma Marsh earned gold in the middle school category for the 3rd consecutive year. This year, 83 middle schools were nominated across DFW, and Irma Marsh once again earned the top recognition. At this time, Irma Marsh staff, if you'll go over by the banner. I also want to point out that as okay, but wait. So Irma Marsh did not stop there. Angela, if you'll go to the next slide. Stay there. They were also nominated in the Place to Work category, where in their debut of the category, they earned silver. So staff, you can go ahead and huddle back up for a photo. We'll get both. This is an impressive first-time recognition, especially because the category included 168 nominated businesses and organizations across the Metroplex. And they got number 2. Next, we have, this year, Castleberry ISD also added new gold recognitions to its DFW Favorites record in categories where we had not previously earned gold. After earning silver in 2025, Castleberry High School moved up to the top spot in 2026, and they earned gold for the high school category. With 56 high schools nominated across DFW, earning gold is a major accomplishment and exciting recognition for not only the high school, but also the district, as it now means Castleberry ISD has been voted DFW's best elementary, middle, and high school. So if you are a CHS staff member, please make your way to the photo area. All right, moving ahead to our next recognition. A.V. Cato Elementary jumped 2 spots from earning bronze to earning gold in the Education and Tutoring Services category this year. If you are an A.V. Cato staff member, please go smile for your photograph. All right, but wait, before you sit down, just like last year, A.V. Cato was recognized in more than one category. For the second year in a row, A.V. Cato Elementary earned silver in the elementary school category. Please pose for your photo. Again, this category included 95 nominated elementary schools across DFW. So earning one of the top spots 2 years in a row is a very strong achievement. And I know the guys are getting a little tired with these banners they get to haul out, but we're still not done. Castleberry ISD has an additional first-time recognition in the Education and Tutoring Services category this year. Congratulations to Castleberry ISD ACE After School Centers for Education. They were early. They unveiled it early. And the ACE After School program earned silver in 2026. If you're a member of the ACE staff, please get your photo. Any ACE staff members? Yes. So this recognition highlights the value of the program and the important role it plays in supporting students and families beyond the regular school day. We also want to congratulate Joy James Academy of Leadership. Joy James earned bronze in the elementary school category this year. If you are a Joy James staff member, please make your way to the banner. Do they? All right, so for those of you who have been keeping score, or audience members here who are sports fans, you already know that Castleberry ISD swept the top 3 spots in the elementary school category. Castleberry Elementary earned gold, A.V. Cato Elementary earned silver, and Joy James Academy of Leadership earned bronze. With 95 elementary schools nominated across DFW and with elementary school ranking among the contest's top 10 categories for total votes, this sweep is especially meaningful and a reflection of the support our families and community continue to show for Castleberry ISD schools. Last but not least, congratulations to Reach High School. Reach earned bronze in the high school category in 2026. If you are a Reach staff member, please make your way for a photo. Now, with Castleberry High School earning gold and Reach earning bronze, not sure if you're aware, but we only have 2 high schools in the district. And both of those are represented in the high school category as the top 3. That's something to be proud of. Now, for those of you wondering, yes, the banners will be on display at your campuses. We'll take care of that with maintenance. And additionally, be on the lookout for a copy of the DFW Favorites magazine, their printed publication to see all of our campuses showcased. And then one more important district milestone to note. All 6 of Castleberry ISD's traditional campuses, schools, have now earned at least 1 DFW Favorites recognition. These votes and recognitions reflect the pride our families, staff, students, alumni, and community have in our schools and programs. Thank you to everyone who voted and supported Castleberry ISD in this year's contest. And congratulations to all the winners.
So before we, unless there's comments, before I give the next, you have a comment? Okay. The next thing that we want to do is we're going to want to take a big selfie with everybody in the room to celebrate you. Or so I think instead of a selfie, we'll let Ariella do a selfie, and then we're going to have Angela come and stand up and take a picture. If you'll stand up, and we're going to have the board come down, and so we're going to take a big picture. So stand up so we can get a great photo of this. Campus staff, if you want to exit, please take the time to exit unless you want to hang out all night with us. Boy, that was fast. Hey, Abby, we had a question. Where can they get the magazine? Yeah, but if they want to purchase one? Okay, I will send y'all the information. We'll get it tomorrow. Okay.
Well, we're now on to item 5C. Ms. Harper?
Yes, 5C is our House Bill 3 early literacy and numeracy goals in progress.
Good evening, Board of Education, Superintendent Smith-Faulkner. We are here to present our HB3 end-of-year updates, and I'm going to let Ms. Putney start, and I will see you all in a little bit.
Good evening. So I'm going to be speaking about pre-K through second grade, and all of those wonderful third grade scores are resting on the shoulders of our pre-K through second grade teachers. So when you're hearing the results of our year of work, we just want to recognize that that's work that just goes forward and lays a good foundation. Also to note, we've been doing so many things with early literacy, and so this has been a year of a lot of changes, and as we continue to closely monitor our work, both the data and walking in classrooms to see instruction, there are always things that we're looking at to see what's working well and what we're tweaking, so the work just continues. Okay. All right, so we're going to start with pre-K, and in pre-K, our HB3 early literacy performance objectives are based on our CIRCLE assessment. And the CIRCLE assessment is just one of a few assessments that the commissioner says that we can use. So we use CIRCLE, and this year we set our goal from 68% of students who are on track at the end of last year to 70% for this year. And to be considered on track, students had to meet expectations in all the literacy components measured on the CIRCLE assessment. And this is a rigorous indicator because students must demonstrate strength in every one of those components before we consider them overall on track. So the 72% that you see there in green, we met our goal, surpassed it by a bit. That indicates a combined score of our English and our Spanish classrooms. Now, in other grades, we're not going to be able to show a combined score, but in pre-K we can because of the assessment. It's measuring the same way in English and in Spanish. So with our new structured literacy approach, we're monitoring both sides of that reading rope, the word recognition and our comprehension, which is part of vocabulary. And so this slide highlights those literacy components that are going to most closely align with the pre-K readiness assessment that our pre-K students take the next year. And so overall performance across all our literacy domains are very strong in both English and in Spanish. Now we're going to move into the performance objectives for kindergarten through second grade. And in these grades, we use a mirror for our to monitor our progress. Now, during the year, we upped the rigor by moving the benchmark for meeting grade level expectations from the 50th percentile rank to the 60th percentile rank. And this higher threshold is a stronger predictor of future success on the third grade reading star. So while this represents a more rigorous goal for students and campuses, the Amira platform has proven to be an effective measure of literacy growth for English learners. The Spanish side, however, presented several challenges, requiring us to use the Lectura ISIP part as an alternative measure. And that's until this coming year, this next school year, it will be fully integrated. And so we'll be able to use the Amira side for both our English and our Spanish. But because the two assessments are structured differently, the results can't be compared directly. So although we're going to present English and Spanish data, it will be done separately and not a combined score. And also, because of that, we're going to be showing the English data as the result for our performance objective for kindergarten through second grade. So in kindergarten, you can see that students demonstrated strong literacy growth throughout the year and were just 3 percentage points away from the district's end-of-year HB3 target. Last year, we didn't have full implementation of Amira, so we did our best to predict what a strong performance objective might be. But now with a full year under our belt, we'll be able to determine our new baseline data for Amira and the performance objectives during our ALT retreat. So I mentioned the issues with Spanish Amira for our early readers, and you can see that those results, that those are issues in the first grade Spanish too. We have a lot of, early readers in first grade, not just kindergarten. But in first grade, we see that our literacy performance in both Spanish and English plateaued middle of the year. But our Castleberry leadership, we wanted to understand why, and so of course we dig deeper. And so when we break down the data by campus, we can see that we have teachers with really high performance and those who performed below the performance objective. So during the ALT retreat, the district and campus leadership will be creating plans of support for our teachers and students who, the students who have moved to second grade without mastering those foundational skills. And then in second grade, our students demonstrated strong and consistent literacy growth throughout the school year, meeting the district's HB3 target by the end of the school year. And our HB3 performance objectives are put into place to ensure that our students are leaving our primary grades having mastered those foundational skills needed to learn to read so that they're ready in third grade, ready to learn, reading to learn. So Kristen? So Ms. Schmidt will be here to speak to our third grade reading scores.
Good evening, board members. I am pleased to share that Castleberry ISD has met and exceeded our House Bill 3 third grade reading goal, as you heard earlier. Before I share this, I do want to remind you of what Mr. Hutchings presented. So all of this is raw data, and it could look slightly different in the taper report that you see later on. With that said, our goal was to increase the percentage of third grade scores, scoring meets on reading from 38% in June of 2025 to 40% by June 2026. I'm proud to report that we came in at 45% combined. That is 5 full percentage points above our target. Breaking that down, you can see that the students testing in English scored 45% at meets, and the students testing in Spanish scored 44%, so both cleared the goal. This result reflects the hard work of our amazing teachers that are present and were present before, the principals, the campus academic leaders, and the sustained investment the board has made in high-quality instructional materials and our structured literacy focus. We're proud of this milestone, and we're already building the systems to push even further for next year. I will now introduce Mrs. Harper to speak with you about early numeracy.
Good evening again. I will be starting with our pre-K performance objective. Our pre-K students exceeded their math progress measure by 1%, scoring 93% on track on their circle assessment. This assessment focuses on counting, shape discrimination, operations, number identification, and measurement, and evaluates the early math skills critical for our kindergarten readiness. Moving on to kinder, our kinder students showed growth all year long and ending the year just below their target measure of 94%. They were at 93 in June of 2025, and our expectation was 94%, but we're still in the 90s, so I feel as if we've maintained a very, very high position in our math for kindergarten. This graph is going to show you our kinder data from the beginning to the middle to the end of the year, with CISD in red, AV Cato in light blue, CE in navy, and Joy James in the gray. And you can see that AV Cato had the highest end-of-year performance at 100%, followed by Joy James at 87%, and CE at 83%. So congratulations to all those schools. In first grade, it paints a little bit different picture. We did show growth from the beginning of the year, but we did dip a little bit after the middle of the year. We were at 81%, and we ended the year with 71%. As Ms. Putney mentioned earlier before when discussing our first grade reading targets, our first grade as a whole is struggling in both reading and math. On this graph, you can see we did make quite a bit of gains from the beginning of the year to the middle, and then a little bit of a dip there at the end. Across the district, we have 13 first grade teachers, with 6 of those showing improvement is needed in math. And so, in our ALT retreat this summer, we will be focusing on those teachers to provide them additional support as we move to our Bluebonnet math adoption next year. CE had the highest end-of-year score at 74%, followed by Joy James at 72 and AV Cato at 69. In second grade, we were so close. We were aiming for an 89% by June of 2026. However, we finished exactly where we were last year in June of 2025 at 88%. We were glad to see that our second grade teachers were able to maintain this percentage from last year. And out of our 7 math teachers in second grade, we only had 3 that were new to the district this year, and I am happy to announce that all will be returning next year. And so this, again, just shows our second grade graph showing the gains that we made from the beginning of the year through the end of the year. And I wanted to congratulate AV Cato with the highest end-of-year score at 91%, followed by CE at 89 and Joy James at 81. So I wanted to put this slide in here just to show you the progress that we made over the last 4 years. We adopted STEM scopes 4 years ago, and we have not seen the gains in 3rd through 5th grade in our STAR-tested areas as we have actually at the younger grade levels. You can see the red was our end-of-year score in 2023, and in the light blue was our end-of-year for kinder 1st and 2nd in 2024. Navy was 2025, which was actually the highest year when we fell just a little bit below those numbers this year in the gray. And so I wanted to make sure that you know, and just remind you that we are making that transition from STEM scopes to Bluebonnet next year for our K through 5 math. And we will be establishing a new baseline because with a new curriculum, we're not exactly sure where our students will fall with their assessments because they'll be a little bit different than they're used to in STEM scopes. And for the grand finale, I am pleased and so excited to announce that 3rd grade has increased from 27% meets last year in June of 2025 to 34% in June of 2026. That is a 7-point increase in just 1 year, which allowed us to meet our goal for HB3 of 34%. Congratulations, 3rd grade. And the last thing I just wanted to share with you, we are looking at some different action steps for next year. A few of these are rollovers and continuations from this year, but we have added a few, especially the Bluebonnet math and some other things. So I just wanted to give those to you to let you know we were thinking about these, and we will be planning for these for that next school year. And so now, Ms. Schmidt, Ms. Putney, and I will entertain any questions that you have about our data. Thank you. Thank you.
Last meeting, it just magically came on, so I get to that. I'm just wondering if we need, how many TIA teachers are in some of these graphics? When you were talking about first grade teachers, that there were 13 first grade teachers that you were looking at.
So,
How many of those are
wait, we
TIA?
would have to get back, because that would be held by Catherine on who officially is TIA. That wouldn't be something that Ms. Harper would
So that's
be able to.
my question probably isn't exactly who, but where does that belong? Where does that data belong, where we're seeing a return on our investment on TIA? Would that belong in this type of report?
I think that you would see it in the amount of teachers and the amount of money that they're bringing in, and
Not on data, score data.
well, yes, because it's based on their growth of their student data.
So that would
Okay.
show up at each campus.
It would show up, the growth would show up on their CIP, but I think that we have a answer to your question in the compensation plan where you provided the sample goal.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
we can show you that.
Okay, thank you. See where my mind's trying to understand this TIA thing.
Well, let me address, and it created a question in my head. You said it used return on investment. And so the investment is coming from the state, is that correct? And it comes through us, but that's an investment for the state, so it's not really our investment.
Well, yes and no. I mean, just because we adopted it. Right. But yes, point well taken.
Just like, investing in people, right? We're still invested in people in that sense. I have two questions. One, Whitney, for you, you talked about benchmark and new baselines and so on and so forth with Bluebonnet math. Does that come, I know I think we were using STEM scopes, is that right?
Yes, yes.
So will that be something different now? Will it be something with Bluebonnet that will have the baseline
No,
with?
STEM scopes, the board adopted the Bluebonnet Math K-5
Right.
Several months ago. And so we will be moving completely away from STEM scopes
Gotcha.
to 100% Bluebonnet in math. And so we will go through extensive training this summer, and it'll be like starting over again. But we feel like the direction that the state is moving, that we really needed to use this new curriculum, and it's very rigorous, and I've seen a lot of positive feedback from the teachers. We actually rolled out some of the, we kind of pre-rolled out after STAR, and a lot of teachers are really liking it. They think it's
I've seen
got some good
positive
pieces.
traction across the state when I'm in
And can I
schools.
clarify, I think Ms. Aguillon is asking this test specifically,
Yeah.
is it a different test than the test in STEM scopes?
Yes, and the program's different. STEM Scopes really focuses more on the 5E model, where in Bluebonnet, they have a very structured, it's almost like in structured literacy. They have a very structured plan that they go through every day. They go through a fluency piece, an application problem, content
I think you know what I'm
development,
saying.
and then they do a problem set and then a debrief.
So it's a different test.
It's
I
a
think
different
just a
test.
That's all she wants to
Different-
know.
I get
different
benchmark,
test.
is it
Okay.
different? I
Yeah,
think
no, they'll be 100% different. I'm sorry.
But thanks for expanding. Thanks for all the information. I love it. And then I think I have a question for, she knew it. And I'm going to bring you back to Spanish.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I think, I just want to make sure I'm clear with what you said. So we're using a different type of benchmark assessment rather than a MIRA for Spanish because it's like not ready, I think is what I'm understanding?
Yes, so just a quick little explanation. So even though the company, Amira, what it has as part of its company was the Lectura ISIP assessment. What Amira has done on the English side, they were just ready before they were with the Spanish. Everything became integrated. So you assess, you do your oral reading practice, all of those data points get put in there for teachers to be able to adjust instruction and all of these things. Amira on the early readers for Spanish. It was the gift that kept giving, and we keep finding out like what it means to not be fully integrated, and the support and the data for those like kindergarten, first graders. I mean, you see a little bit in second grade, but in second grade, we're starting to move into more fluent readers. So it really just affected our kinder and our first graders. So they were having to go still within the same like company's platform, but it's still a separate program and assessment. And so it's even like the pieces of it, although it addresses parts of literacy, it's done so in a different way and not as, on the Amira side, there were just a lot more different like skills part or categories, I guess would be a better way to say it, for an overall score. And then on Lectura ISIP, it was more of a limited amount of components. And it really, there's such a big, as you saw in the numbers, there's such a big difference in the data that we collected. But when you go into the classrooms, and we had many, principals have many walkthroughs to do anyways, but even as us who we're just trying to go in and see how our initiatives and our instructional pieces, like from our guiding documents and resources, are being played out, you can see the quality that is going on in the instruction and with the kids. And so we did meet with Amira about 2 weeks ago, I'm guessing, and they showed us what is ready, though, for this coming school year. So we're really excited. We think our bilingual teachers are going to be really, really happy to see what's coming. But it was difficult to try to navigate that, so.
And I think just as we think about our new strategic plan for, 5 years and building our baseline, I think to me, like that's like red flag on the field to me as I guess I'm looking just at numbers, right? I guess your point, there's other parts of it. So I think I would just be interested in what is the research behind the Spanish to make sure that we're actually getting something that's quality, that we're not kind of putting our eggs in this basket and it may not be the best basket. Again, that's just my take on that. So I would love to have that research if I could get my hands on that to just see the parity between the English and Spanish. To
Yes,
make sure
and I know Amira has a lot of that, so I'm sure we can provide something there. So, anything else? Okay, thank you.
On to item 5D, the compensation plan. Ms. Walker?
Good evening, President Tolliver, school board members, and Superintendent Smith-Faulkner. So tonight I'm going to go over draft 2 of our 26-27 compensation plan. So on May 4th, I presented the first draft of the 26-27 compensation plan. Now, the compensation plan is basically a guidebook for employee pay. It includes pay ranges based on assignments, stipends, and extra duty pay rates. It provides information on how pay is calculated and explains rules for overtime. The district uses TASB surveys to analyze and compare rates, and our plan offers market competitive pay ranges designed to maximize talent retention and maintain highly qualified teachers in a premier workforce. Now, since the last time I shared it with you, I want to highlight 2 updates that have been made since May the 4th. The first update on page 43 adds performance-based stipends for principals to the plan. These incentives provide a focus on board-adopted House Bill 3 goals and reward principals for meeting or exceeding those goals. Principals are eligible for 3 different stipends and can earn up to an additional $7,500 should all 3 be met. The second update is to our athletic extra duty pay, and it's on page 48. These changes reflect the pay the district is already spending. They are just now included in the plan. Those are the only updates that I have to share this evening, but now I'm going to respond to some questions that were submitted earlier today. So the first question submitted was, does the 2026-27 compensation plan include a base salary raise for all employee groups, teachers, librarians, nurses, and support staff, or is the 2% increase specific only to administrators while other groups receive different adjustments? A 2% increase in pay would be reflected in the budget, not the compensation plan. The compensation plan shows pay with teacher step increases. Remember last year, teachers received the teacher retention allotment of $4,000 and $8,000, as seen on pages 23-24 in the teacher library salary matrix. Principals are eligible for salary increases based on performance pay on the salary bands on page 27 in the compensation plan. The compensation plan does not include an increase for anyone else, such as child nutrition, auxiliary personnel, instructional aides, and administrative support staff. However, Mr. Wooten will give you a breakdown of what increasing pay for all of those employees would cost in his budget presentation later this evening, and the board will have the opportunity to make those budget decisions if they want. Question number 2. Does this plan officially establish 26-27 pay, including the 2% baseline adjustment for principals and assistant principals? Thank you. Again, this plan does not show any adjustments to the minimum, midpoint, or maximum salaries. It does include principal strategic compensation salary bands, a step increase for teachers and librarians, and a 0% increase for all other staff and employees. Mr. Wooten will present those budget adoption options later this evening, which include options for a deficit budget that include assistant principals in that increase, should you choose to select that one. Question 3. Does this plan authorize participation in the TIA and enhanced TIA data tracking pilot and principal strategic compensation pilot? The compensation provides a small section on how TIA is paid on page 33. Castleberry ISD's TIA local designation system was approved in 2023. Our teachers already participate in TIA, but we are not yet eligible for enhanced TIA. Additional information on eligibility, calculating designation levels, and local rules for TIA, local designation system, is available in the CISD TIA guidebook. The strategic compensation plan starts for principals this year, but it is a hold harmless year, meaning principals will either make their current salary or increase their salary based on performance for the salary bands that's indicated in the compensation plan. I'm not really sure what was meant by data tracking pilot, but if I don't answer your question during this presentation, please ask your question at the end. Question 4. Is the intent to provide a hold harmless period for administrators, stable pay, no performance volatility, while the board studies TIA, enhanced TIA data before any permanent changes? Please keep in mind that TIA and enhanced TIA are completely separate from principal strategic compensation. TIA funds are generated by teachers and spent on teachers and possibly instructional aides. Strategic compensation for principals is based on principal scorecards that includes student performance data, leadership scores, and campus operations and safety components. And yes, this is a hold harmless year. Principals will not decrease in pay. However, if a principal earns a higher pay based on their scorecard, then they will earn that higher pay. Question number 5. Does this vote approve this year's compensation only without committing the district to performance pay structures for 27-28 without a separate board for each? Yes, that is correct. On page 1 of the compensation plan, it specifically states that the Board of Education adopts a new compensation plan annually. Question 6. Does the 2026-27 Employee Compensation Plan policy explicitly state language to prevent TIA, enhanced TIA performance formulas, from reducing administrator pay in 2026-27? In other words, a hold harmless language that shields administrators from pay volatility tied to TIA and enhanced TIA performance outcomes. Again, TIA formulas are for teacher. They do not impact administrator pay. The 2025-2026 strategic compensation guideline, however, explains or includes explicit language regarding the hold harmless for 26-27, and it also specifies calculation of principal effectiveness level and compensation for the 27-28 school year. So it's two separate things. Question 7. What is the estimated local budget impact of TIA pay for 26-27, including employer TRS contributions and up to 10% administrative costs? And is the district planning to use long-term reserve funds to cover any shortfall if state TIA funding decreases or is eliminated? TIA is 100% state funded. The district is awarded allotments based on teacher designations. By law, 90% of those funds are returned to student-facing employees as a payment in August. And we do take out tax and TRS from their 90%, including the employer contribution as well. So it's all funded through state. The remaining 10% that's generated through these allotments is used to offset assessment costs and partial salaries for TIA data management. So a very small piece of that is paying for me. The amount that the state awards each year varies. So the amount awarded to the teachers changes with this variance. And the amount that of TIA varies from campus to campus as well as district to district. So if the employee goes to another district, they can earn whatever that particular district and campus is paying the year that they are a designated teacher serving there. Question 8. How many years can the district sustain TIA stipends from reserves without creating a budget deficit? TIA is an allotment given out by the state. It's not a stipend, and the district doesn't use reserves to pay TIA. If the state discontinues TIA, then both the district and the teachers will stop receiving the allotments. Question number 9. Regarding overtime pay for non-exempt workers, will overtime be available for specific positions or non-exempt staff that have overtime? By law, any non-exempt employee who works more than 40 hours in a week is entitled to overtime at a rate of time and a half in compensatory time or pay. Now, to prevent pressure on the budget, all overtime must be pre-approved by the superintendent. And budget managers are aware and are making efforts to reduce or completely eliminate overtime or use compensatory time in lieu of overtime pay. Question 10. TIA and student growth. Does the compensation plan tie stipends to student growth? TIA, again, is not a stipend, but an allotment awarded by the state, and under our local designation system, teachers receive a score that is 60% based on student outcomes using state-approved assessment tools and 40% based on teacher performance measured with T-tests. The stipends that are in the compensation plan are for specific job-related or certificate-related duties. Question 11, compensation and strategic goals. Can you provide a line-of-sight document connecting House Bill 2 salary increases, TIA stipends, and the 2% administrative adjustment to the district's strategic goals? House Bill 2 increases pay through the teacher retention allotment, and those are visible on pages 23 and 24 of the compensation plan in the teacher and librarian salary matrix. This allotment is funded through the state. TIA also is an allotment, not a stipend, and funded by the state. I'm not aware of a 2% administrative adjustment anywhere, that we haven't planned that in the compensation plan at all. However, we are quite aligned to district goals, as Ms. Branch will pull up a document to show you, because our retention goals have been met, and it's impacting student incomes, as you can see here in the acquisition of the House Bill 3 goals that were set by the school board. Question 12, 90% rule. How will the board confirm that the TIA distribution meets the 90% or 100% campus requirement? If verification of campus-specific allocation is available, please provide it. Teachers receive 90% of their TIA designation, less the IRS withholding and TRS contributions, and the teacher amount is determined by the state each year. TEA verifies TIA designations and funding after Texas Tech University validates the data submission. Once verified, TEA posts information in the Strategic Compensation Operations Management System, also called SCOMS, for authorized district users. Question 13, primary purpose. Is the primary purpose of this plan market retention or strategic investment in student achievement? Again, the compensation plan is basically a guidebook for employee pay, and the pay rates are strategically designed to retain highly qualified teachers and staff. As of today, we have less than 10% turnover, and as I've referenced in the scorecard earlier, we met House Bill 3 goals for 25-26. If there are additional questions, I'm happy to answer at this time.
I have one question, just kind of piggybacking on my other question. Is Amira part of our TIA measures?
So Amira was used for the 25-26 data capture for this year. So yes, it is, but we do not have any teachers designated using Amira data because it was a new tool used for data capture this year. For 24-25 data capture, we used the NWEA MAP growth measurements. We only went down as low as second grade. So this will be the first year that we're doing a data capture for kinder and first grade.
For TIA?
For TIA. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Item 6, at this time, the board will retire to closed session under Texas Government Code Sections 551.071 through 551.076 and 551.08 through 551.083 to discuss the items listed on the agenda. The time is 7:25 p.m. Elise. Thank you, ma'am. Missy Janice. Here she comes. Here she comes. Where's she at? Where is Janice? She's at- I call this meeting back to order after our recess. It is 7:52 p.m. As we continue tonight's meeting, we welcome all who have joined us as we keep asking how we can best promote and encourage achievement for every student in our district. The mission of Castleberry Independent School District is inspiring and empowering all students to be innovative thinkers in the global community. At this time, we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Linda Aguilar, our board member, will lead us in that. Thank you, ma'am. Move on. We're on to item 7C. Ms. Harper, our multiplication contest winners.
Good evening again, Board of Education, Cabinet, and Superintendent, Ms. Smith-Faulkner. Thank you for the opportunity to recognize the multiplication contest winners in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades. This will be our 10th annual multiplication contest in CISD. It was created for our students to show mastery in their multiplication facts. All students in grades 3 through 5 are given a 1-minute fact test to see who can answer the most correctly. We have winners at the classroom level, the campus level, and the district level. And the winners are... I am pleased to present to you our 2026 3rd grade district champion, Christian Rodriguez. Christian attends A.V. Cato Elementary School and answered 63 multiplication facts in 1 minute. I am also very pleased to present to you the 2026 4th grade district champion, Andrea Parra. Andrea attends also A.V. Cato Elementary School, and she was able to answer 68 multiplication facts in 1 minute. That's more than 1 per second. And I am now pleased to present to you our 2026 5th grade champion, Luciana Tello. Luciana attends A.V. Cato Elementary School, and she was able to answer 70 facts in 1 minute. Would the families of these 3 students please stand and be recognized? While we're only recognizing our first place district champions tonight, I wanted to recognize all 3 district winners in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades, as you can see on this slide. This group of kids had outstanding results. I would also like to extend a thank you to the parents, to the teachers, and the administrators who have supported these fantastic mathematicians. A special thank you to Mrs. Stephanie Balster, Mrs. Morgan Johnson, and Mr. Mickey McPherson, who assisted with the campus and district contests as well as the awards ceremony. This event could not take place without them. Could we give these outstanding mathematicians one more applause? Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Congratulations. Miss Dr. McDormand, sorry, will recognize our science fair winners.
Good evening, President Tolliver, Superintendent Smith-Faulkner, and members of the board. I'm honored to stand before you to recognize the achievement of our young scientists who have excelled in the district science fair and, at the secondary level, the regional and state science fairs. In January, 4th and 5th grade students from our 3 elementary campuses competed virtually in the district science fair due to inclement weather. Their projects are on display in the hallway. At this time, would the 4th and 5th grade students please come and stand in a line facing the board members? I would first like to recognize our 4th grade first place winner from AV Cato, Luciana Tello. Luciana's project examined what happens when steel enters a magnetic field. Next, I would like to recognize our 5th grade first place winner, also from AV Cato, Ana Olvera. Ana's project studied how the height of a ramp affected the distance a toy car would travel. Our elementary grand champion, also from AV Cato, is Gabriela Rodriguez. Gabriela tested the strength of a magnet at different distances. Thank you, elementary winners. You can go ahead and seat. Secondary students were selected by a panel of judges to advance to the Fort Worth Regional Science and Engineering Fair that was held in February at UTA. Their project showcased a range of topics, from harnessing thermal energy to developing a temperature-sensitive bandage, and they are represented our district with pride. A selection of their projects is also on display in the hallway for your viewing pleasure. Students, as your names are called, please come up and receive your certificates. We will begin our recognition with the Castleberry High School first place winners, McKinley Lavender, who, with Aiden Carter, who is unable to be with us tonight, did an experiment on the effects of acidic drinks on tooth enamel. Moving on to Irma Marsh Middle School, I present the first place winners for 6th grade STEM, Gael Dominguez and Brian Pereira. Their investigation was about how plane shapes affect the distance that they can travel. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay. Representing 7th grade STEM, our first place winners and regional participants, Yaretsi Chavarria and Miranda Quiros. These students investigated different materials to determine which one retained heat the best. Next is the 8th grade STEM first place winners and regional participants, Jimena Torres, Maria Mota, and Stephanie Pereira. These students experimented with different forms of exercise to determine their effects on heart rate. Finally, I would like to recognize 8th grade STEM students Charlie Martinez, Elan Sonercha, and Eileen Gonzalez. Their project, Intelligent Wound Monitoring System, developing a smart bandage prototype with thermochromic-based infection detection, earned the team the title of Grand Champions at the District Science Fair. They continued their success by earning first place at the regional fair, qualifying them to compete at the state science fair. The students traveled to Texas A&M University in College Station to present their innovative prototype and showcase their outstanding research and engineering skills. Their achievement reflects the creativity, dedication, and excellence fostered within our STEM program, and we are incredibly proud of their achievements. We'd now like to share the State Science Fair presentation that these students prepared and submitted.
Hello, my name is Ethan, and today we're presenting to you our smart bandage prototype that can detect infections based off of temperature.
The reason we did this project is because we saw that the global burden of wound care is often ignored by the invisibility of early signs of infections. We see that complications underneath a normal bandage often go unnoticed until they've escalated into bigger issues. That's why we developed a smart bandage that provides a proactive diagnostic tool for many to use that uses thermochromic-based infection detection.
The ways that we made our smart bandage. We then have our thermochromic pigment and an acrylic binder. We mixed it together and then we placed it on top of our hydrocolloid roll to make that little black square. Once the paint was dry, we placed 2 transparent films on top of it.
We tested our prototype by first using a heating plate to simulate wounds when they are infected. These temperatures range from 35 to 40 degrees Celsius. We will show you a demonstration of when a wound is around 39 degrees Celsius. This is around 2 to 3 degrees Celsius above normal human skin temperature.
As you can see, the color slowly starts turning from black to colorless, which shows an indicator of an infection. When the smart bandage is placed upon a normal skin temperature with no wounds, it reverts back to its original color in almost seconds. Thank you for listening to us.
On behalf of the district, I would like to extend our sincere appreciation to the superintendent, school board, parents, family members, and teachers, particularly Ms. Garza, Ms. Clinton, Ms. Aragon, Ms. Nalen, Coach Adams, Ms. Henry, and Ms. Rivas, for all your unwavering commitment to our students' academic success. If you are a parent, family member, or teacher of these young scholars, please stand so that you too may be recognized. Thank you.
We're going to stop down now, take some pictures. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I almost forgot about that. I totally forgot. 7E. We got some important educators out here. They're all important.
Good evening again. Tonight, I get to recognize our District Teachers of the Year for the 25-26 school year. It is with great pleasure that I introduce this year's District Elementary Teacher of the Year, Kara Lopez. Ms. Lopez currently serves as a math inclusion teacher at A.V. Cato Elementary. Ms. Lopez hopes to impact even more students at A.V. Cato next year as their newly appointed campus academic leader. As the honored elementary teacher of the year for the district, Ms. Lopez advances to the regional level, where one exceptional elementary teacher will be selected as the Region 11 Elementary Teacher of the Year. For this special honor, Ms. Lopez received an award to display proudly in her room and a $1,000 cash donation from the Castleberry Education Foundation. Please help me in congratulating Kara Lopez, our Castleberry ISD Elementary Teacher of the Year. It is with great pleasure that I introduce this year's District Secondary Teacher of the Year, Mr. Kevin Martinson. Mr. Martinson is a science teacher and a coach who also works with retesters at Castleberry High School. As the honored secondary teacher of the year for the district, Mr. Martinson also advances to the regional level, where one exceptional secondary teacher will be selected as the Region 11 Secondary Teacher of the Year. For this special honor, Mr. Martinson also received an award to display proudly in his classroom and a $1,000 cash donation from the Castleberry Education Foundation. Please help me in congratulating Kevin Martinson, our Castleberry ISD Secondary Teacher of the Year.
We're going to stop down and take some pictures of all these wonderful people, Miss Branch, and I don't know that we have anybody designated tonight. I say it's a free-for-all, whoever wants to be in the picture.
I want to be on Shark Tank with you guys, so I'm gonna go.
So, yeah. Okay, that's fine. Moving on to item 7F, an action item. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the Castleberry High School principal, subject to assignment.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please indicate your vote. Motion carries 7-0. I believe we have Mr. Runyon in the audience. Did I say that right?
Yes, sir, it's right.
Good evening again. Castleberry ISD welcomes Scott Runyon as the district's new Castleberry High School principal. Mr. Runyon joins Castleberry ISD from Fort Worth ISD, where he served as the principal of Arlington Heights High School for the past year. He started his career in education 15 years ago as an English teacher in Fort Worth ISD. Mr. Runyon earned a bachelor's degree from the University of Oklahoma. He went on to complete a master's degree in educational leadership at Texas Christian University in 2011. This advanced training reflects a commitment to professional growth and effective school leadership. Mr. Runyon brings a strong record of leadership and measurable achievement to the district, having previously served as principal of D. McRae Elementary School. During his tenure there, he led staff efforts that significantly improved student performance, moving the school from an F rating to a B rating. Most recently at Arlington Heights, he demonstrated continued success by increasing the CCMR rating from 89% to 95%. He also oversaw substantial academic growth in algebra, biology, and English 1, reflecting a focus on instructional excellence and student outcomes. Outside of work, Mr. Runyon and his wife, English, who also works in education, enjoy raising their 3 children, Edward, Azalea, and Emerald. Recently, he has also gotten back into running, adding to the ways that he stays active and balanced while spending quality time with his family. Mr. Runyon is committed to a philosophy that education is the pathway to ensuring all students have every opportunity available to them after graduation. He believes in servant leadership, beginning with love, and strives to lead with humility while working diligently to support both students and staff. He is grateful to the Board of Education for this opportunity and looks forward to serving Castleberry High School and this wonderful community. Mr. Runyon?
Dr. Faulkner, board members, thank you very much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. Community, I look forward to meeting everyone. I'm very excited to be a part of the Castleberry ISD community. I've heard nothing but great things. We have the 4th biggest band in Texas in 4A. We have a soccer team that made it to state. We now have a nationally recognized yearbook teacher on staff that I'm super excited about. And then, of course, my family in the back, I want to thank them for being here. English, Edward, Azalea, and Emerald to sleep, but that's okay. And thank you for your time tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
On to item 8A, Mr. Wooten. Budget Workshop 5.
All right, good evening, Mr. President, Board of Education Superintendent. Tonight, I will provide an update on the district's budget development process for the 26-27 year. Our discussion will focus on 3 primary points. We've talked about them. Basically, where we expect to finish the current year financially, the assumptions driving next year's budget, and the decisions that will need board consideration before budget adoption. As we move forward through tonight's presentation, I want to emphasize one key point. enrollment remains the single largest driver of our funding. Student counts ultimately determine much of the state's funding we receive and therefore influence the ability to fund district's priorities. So basically tonight, where do we anticipate landing at the end of the year? Based on current collections and spending trends, we expect to finish the year very close to plan, about 97% collections and 98% spent. So as we started the year, we adopted a $48.6 million budget. Right now, it's only a projection. We projected to collect about 47.3, so that gives us a 97% collection rate. So what's due to the shortfalls? Declining enrollment and property tax exemptions were processed by Tarrant Appraisal District, which reduced our tax collections. The good news is that we're working closely with TAD and our tax attorney to recover our portion of the lost funds, and we expect to collect approximately $300 to $500,000 within the next 6 to 12 months. It just takes time. In the meantime, we're saving from vacant positions and employee payroll docs, which are helping offset expenditures through the summer months. Overall, this is really a good situation to be in, and we are actively monitoring both the collections and the expenditures. So we built the budget on some budget assumptions. As it relates to student counts, we expect to decline about 91 students. Our local property values will be flat, and our tax rate obviously be flat. If the local property values increase above 2.5%, you're going to see a difference in our tax rate. But right now, pending the preliminary values, our tax rate will stay flat. So budget is a very exciting slide here. These are the 3 legal buckets that the board has to adopt. Our general fund is currently projected to be a balanced budget at about $48 million, which saying that we're going to provide about $48 million worth of services, and we anticipate collecting $48 million. Child nutrition budget is a balanced budget at $3.7 million, and debt service fund. The debt service fund is projected a net loss of about $500,000. We're going to take a hit to the fund balance there. This is intentional and reflects the planned use of accumulated debt service funds. Our debt service fund balance is about $5.7 million right now. But it's important to note that using the debt service fund balance is separate from the general fund balance. The debt service fund balance can only be used for principal and interest payments and cannot be used for classroom operations, salaries, and instructional programs. Board, the key takeaway here is that the district's preliminary operating budget remains balanced while continuing to meet debt obligations. So this slide is important. It's a multi-year I&S projection. This really just shows that this is our current span year over year. Just take 25-26. Our beginning fund balance is about 6.5. So as of June 30th of last year, our beginning fund balance for July 1st this year, July 1st of 2025, was $6.5 million. So throughout the year, we've collected about $7.3 million of ad valorem taxes on the debt service side. Now, our debt payment was about 8.2. This fund is intentionally structured to hit the fund balance. So our ending fund balance is the cushion of 5.7. So this year we hit the fund balance of $822,000. The good news is that we have a fund balance. We don't have to increase our I&S rate. And so as you see, year over year, we're able to eat at the fund balance. In 5 to 7 years, we will still have money left over. And so we'll have to, over the next couple of years or next year, the superintendent will make a plan to either reduce the I&S rate or continue to eat the fund balance or both, right? So next slide is very important. This slide illustrates potential compensation options for the board consideration. This slide is very important. This slide illustrates potential compensation options for the board consideration. As you see from left to right, the baseline budget is balanced and already includes teacher compensation increases funded through the state's teacher retention allotment and strategic compensation structures. Under the baseline budget, you see the collections equal the expenditures. It's a balanced budget. You know, as I said before, we expect to provide services of $48 million, and between local, state, and federal funds, we expect to receive $48 million. So there's no impact to the fund balance. Option A includes a 1% compensation increase for staff not covered by teacher retention allotment. Funding would cost approximately $250,000. There's a net change. The net change shows a net loss to the fund balance. Option B includes a 2% compensation increase would cost approximately $500,000 annually. There's a net change of a net loss of about $500,000 to the fund balance. So, board, the bottom line message here is that teacher raises are already included in the budget. Each additional 1% increase for other staff costs approximately $250,000. So for every 1%, we can say it's a net change, a net loss to the fund balance, $250,000. The board's decision is whether to fund compensation increases beyond the teacher retention allotment included in the baseline budget. By approving the deficit budget on June 15th, of course, on June 15th, the board will approve one of the following: a balanced budget, which includes teacher step increases, or where all other staff would receive 1% increase. And then the last one is where all other staff will receive a 2% increase to their pay. So at the end of the day, whether it's baseline budget, option A and B, if it's option A and B, it would require adoption of a budgetary deficit. So, next slide. So next steps in the budget timeline is we're planning on June 15th. We'll have a public hearing on the proposed budget and tax rate discussion. And also, we're going to present the budget for board adoption. July 25th, we're planning on receiving our certified taxable values. And once we receive those certified taxable values, we may have to come to the board and readjust our budget. So because we're June 30th, we're building a budget on what we project our taxable values are going to be, not what they actually are. The budget presented tonight remains preliminary and will continue to be refined as additional information becomes available. So we're building a budget on the best information we have: PIMS data, summary of finances, discussion with Mo Casey Consultants. So, board, our goal is to present a financially responsible budget that aligns resources with district priorities while maintaining a long-term financial stability. Mr. President, pending any questions from the board, that's all I have.
Any questions?
First of all, thank you, Mr. Wooten. I think my first question is, if I look at the budget and I look at your projections, and I know last meeting we approved a $5 million loan, which is also part of a big payment yearly. Does that include that as well? Is that part of this deficit or this debt service piece?
So it's a part of the M&O budget. So the debt service is the INS. So it is a part of the general fund, the 199. So we have it in there to be paid.
So it's part of the balance piece, not the debt service
Absolutely.
piece?
It's a part of the balance piece, yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Okay, that's my question.
Good question, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just, can we talk a little bit about how the fund balance decreases by 2031?
Yes, ma'am.
So, what do you attribute that to again, please?
So it's really driven by, so first of all, our tax collections is at 50 cents, right? So the actual, let me just answer the question.
Enrollment?
Well, on the INS side, it's driven by local property taxes. So we levy a tax of 50 cents times the actual taxable assessed values divided by 100 really gives us what our collection will be. And so we structured, when they got the $98 million loan, they structured the actual debt service to have a fund balance. And so, but it gives them the flexibility. So as we look year over year, you have a couple options. You know, at the board, at the superintendent and board level, you can discuss decreasing the actual INS rate to eat the fund balance up faster, or you can leave it as it is. It's just really, or you can use defeasance.
Can I add to
Yes, ma'am.
that? Because as I'm listening to Ms. Gallman's question, I think the other thing that is an impact is property values. And think of the reappraisal plan. And when they freeze that, then they're gonna keep our property values lower. And then as they reappraise items, there could be a big jump depending on what the projections are for our values, and we know that our values are really jumping up. And so it's going to be frozen for 3 years, but when they structured it in the bond payment, they also knew we had quite a bit of a fund balance. And so Mr. Galvan was very conservative in this. But as you see that our payment is the same, but as the values go up, we will also collect more money in the future. So that will grow. But there was some conservativeness in what we would be paying back. Okay. If that helps to explain it, because it took me a minute to look at that and understand why it's like that.
Thank you. That's a good question. Very good question.
Thank you, Mr. Wooten.
Can I ask one more question? I'm
Sure.
sorry.
Yeah.
Just for clarity. So as of right now, if we have a balanced budget, then the only teachers that would get any extra on top of their pay are the TIA teachers.
No, let me explain that. If you look at the teacher step pay, every time that they add a year, they would get that, plus they would get TIA.
Okay.
And that also, we're keeping the teacher allotment, retention allotment. So once they jump up to year 5, I believe, is that the $4,000 year? 3, 4? 4. Okay, so we will continue to receive that, so that's part of their big jump. And so they get a year of service. So if you look at that, if I'm 9 years, then I go to the 10th year pay, plus I have the opportunity to get TIA. So there's 2 ways to get their increase.
Got you. So the 500, if we did option B, if you go back to the slide, Angela, make sure I'm saying the numbers right. $250,000 option A. That means that $250,000 is for everybody, or just the people who wouldn't be impacted by the steps?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Everybody else.
Okay. And then option B would just be a higher raise for those people, a 2% rather than 1%. Got you. Okay, just want to make sure I'm understanding and I'm clear.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Wooten.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks, board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On to item 8B, Mr. Cameron Holloman.
Good evening, Board of Education, President Tolliver, Superintendent Smith-Faulkner. It's been an exciting night. The best thing I can do on a night like this is just step aside, so let's get into it. We have made a lot of progress, but we skipped a little bit last week last month because we had the video. So I'm going to focus mostly on some finance and some photos, but we are still within budget and on time. I'll show some proof of that. And we are in full compliance of safety and quality guidelines that we set forth from the beginning. Angela? Okay, a little bit of the things we've been able to accomplish is the transformer was completed a couple of months ago. We've got the power lines in. Those are small but big for moving in. We've got the water line pre-con meeting underway, so that's a huge step in the process. So we're hoping to fall in line with that by July and be ready for the start of school. And then we've jumped into the basement. You'll see a photo of that. And the rest is just kind of as we've already mentioned in the past. So, thank you. On the financial side, so we're down to about a third of the money left, and we are well over 66% of the way through the construction. So there's kind of proof that we are staying well within budget. We've got 60% of our soft costs remaining. A lot of that is the furniture. We have done a diligent job of saving money and watching all of our bids that come and go, and vetting out our vendors very well. We've had some good vendors from the start, so we've reused a lot of the vendors that are part of the bond in that soft cost process. So all that being said, we've done a really good job of holding on to some security money there. Thank you. Okay, so we'll start with A. This is our, the top, this is our CTE. So we'll go from the least amount of progress to the most, but you can see we've got all of our wainscot tile on the sides, windows framed and windows put in. Above ceiling, we've got a portion of our MEP, so that's a hallway. Next, you'll see, this is, oh, sorry, I jumped ahead of you. This is a classroom in that CTE area. You can see the holes in the floor for the rough end, but we have about 90%. So we're not scheduled to open this area, reminder, until December, but we have 90% of our MEP done and above ceiling. So we've got our ceiling grid going in. They'll start floors and ceilings probably in the next 30 days. So good deal there. Jumping over to Area B, so this portion of the building will be opening up for this school year, so we're very happy to announce that, and we're on schedule. You can see we're about 95% complete in these areas. In the back, you can see the vent hoods, full ceilings, a portion of our millwork, so that portion of the furniture is handled by BTC, but they're in, and we'll keep those protected while we're finishing our floors and doing some touch-ups on the paint. Here is the gymnasium area, so we do have the floor in. This is beautiful. A picture doesn't do it justice. I was in there this morning, so we've got to let the floor breathe a little bit before we put the finish and make it really shine. But hopefully we've got some good plans for opening that up when school starts and allowing not only the students and staff, but a portion of the community to also enjoy that area as well. So this, I stepped just outside. So a lot of the learning areas, learning stairs and such, parking and thoroughfare will not be open to start school, but this portion will. So we're going to allow students an area to go to and fro on the ground floor from the new gymnasium to the competition gym. And that's the connector, of course, that you see, the sky bridge. But I thought this was really cool because you can kind of start envisioning where students would be able to hang out during the day. It's a safe, secure area. We'll make sure that we keep them safe from any construction, obviously, but this is inside the school building area and all that glass. So people that are enjoying the next area, which is Area C. Well, one more picture there, just to show you kind of how far we've come along. So just that picture, we've got the lockers in. You can see the ceramic tile in the restrooms. We've also got restroom fixtures in. And then, of course, some of our writing. So we just lack floors in that area. But then I was just saying that this is Area C, so this is the connector. And so you'll be able to see the learning stairs and that kind of commons area that I showed in the picture before. So it's really coming together. I did get a sneak peek of the carpet. We've already covered this up, but I snuck in there when they weren't looking. So it's kind of a picture of what the carpet will look like. And against the black ceiling and the tectum, kind of the cloud ceiling in those areas and that wood finish, it's really a sight to see. So I hope pretty soon we'll all get to see that. Now, Mr. Runyon, you can look away at this part. This is our renovation that is coming together. This is the media center. That in the very middle, if you will, if I can point that, that is that's our centerpiece. So that's our desk area. It's about 20 by 20, so it's kind of hard to see that from here, but it's a large area. It kind of has a marble-ish finish to it. It's really pretty, and in the background will be the cafe that you'll see in the next month or so. This is our war zone. The reason that I wanted to put this in there is because this is our basement. This is our renovation, which will become special ed in the next 3 to 4 months. But this just started last week, so you can see how fast those guys got in there in order to give ourselves time. We will be conducting an abatement in that area, so we've got to secure that area in the next couple of weeks and over the summer before kids come back, kind of make it safe. This is your bond money and tax dollars going to work, so this is our summer projects that we've kind of added on in the last 3 or 4 months. But this, again, I just wanted to showcase, they started Friday morning, and this is this morning about 10 o'clock. They've already done about 35 squares on that roof. This is the science wing. So they've swept gravel, they've got insulation in, they're going in with, polyiso and Densdeck. I won't bore you with all that, but it's a thorough process. It's 95 degrees up there, and in basically 2 working days, this is the amount of work that they've been able to do. So I really wanted to showcase that to you guys because, that's extra work that we're doing above and beyond what we had thought we were going to be able to do last year at this time. So I appreciate you guys having faith in me and running some of that and giving you more bang for your buck. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions or take any comments.
So you snuck in, so we need better security, is what you're saying.
I am security, that might be the problem. Thank you very much.
And I will say, though, before you leave, when you said that that was our bond money, I thought all I could see was pallets of dollars up there.
Yes.
So, oh, good, we found our stash.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Yeah. We're going to jump around to 11A, Mr. Wooten, sorry. We're going to try to take care of some people. It's an action item. Consider approval of the 2026-2027 professional new hire contracts. Is there a motion?
Mr. President, I move to approve the, wrong one. You said it's what?
Yeah, 11A.
I move to approve the 2026-2027 professional new hire contracts subject to assignment.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please indicate your vote. Motion carries 7-0. That's it. Okay.
Well, congratulations, everyone that is sitting out in the audience as a new hire. Welcome to Castleberry. And guess what? Ms. Walker has your contract, so it's going to be official now.
Sorry, we're going to jump back to Mr. Wooten now. Adam, where did I leave off? 9. 9A? It was 9A. Yes, sir.
I figured we could let them go home.
Yeah.
All right, good evening, Mr. President, Board of Education, and Superintendent. Thank you for allowing me to present the budget monthly update. Next slide. So here's the discussion points. We're going to talk about the budget snapshot, the budget financial performance, and next steps, which is action plan. All right. So you've seen this slide. It's primarily a slide we showed you before. We budgeted $48.6 million. We anticipate collecting $47.3, which is 97% of our adopted budget. Here's what I want to say about that. There's still potential funding that's flowing in. We have settle up funding that comes in September that we can move back to this current year because we earned it in this year. We have indirect cost from federal grants, like just say SPED grant, because my folks actually service the grants, and then child nutrition funds that have not been applied yet. And so the operating budget closes at 6:30, but the books are still open until the board approves that budget. And so those are things that we think about. I'm just showing you the data as of today, the worst case possible. Expenses, I don't anticipate expenses getting bigger than that. We've primarily put enough pressure on the general fund, and I think we're at a stopping point. Next slide. This is an overview of what collections look like. Basically, we talked about it. We're planning on collecting 97% of our adopted budget. This is how the collections performed at the local level, and we budget 11.1, and that includes our ad valorem taxes, miscellaneous funds, athletic funds as well. Even then, we collected 10.7, and that's the decline of local funds is primarily due to ADA and property tax exemption. State funding is ADA. Local property tax exemption dip is due to the actual private tax exemption that was approved by the chief appraiser. And then federal funds, I believe we're going to get 100% of those funds. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is an update. On June 15th, we're going to look at the budget again. I'm going to continue to do the year-end financial projections to make sure that our budget, that our actuals don't exceed our budget. And then we're going to prepare an amendment if necessary. And here's a legal requirement. We're going to prepare the 26-27 budget, proposed budget for the board adoption. And those three buckets are general fund, child nutrition, and debt service. Mr. President, pending any questions for you, that's all I have right now.
Just for clarification, the only real difference was TAD allowing an exemption that we didn't know was coming.
Exactly right.
And you said earlier we're going to get that back in 6 months or so?
But, yes, sir.
But it has to go
6 to 12 months. Yes, sir.
Next year's budget, right?
Yeah. It's going to go next year's budget. If it comes in before September, then the auditor will move it back to this current year. That's it. So. Mr. President, thank you. Board, thank you for your time.
I have a quick question. It's probably not a very smart question, but I'm trying to understand how we can approve the compensation plan before we approve the budget. So will the budget be able to support the compensation plan?
So compensation plan doesn't have any numbers to it. It is just the rules of the people who we're applying their salaries to.
Which goes back to the answers we got.
Yes, ma'am. So we have to approve the compensation plan before we approve the budget, and then we look at the FTEs that we can afford within his budget, and we have already adjusted FTEs, which would be the amount of people that we're employing. Okay, so we look at what are the rules, then we put it in Skyward, and then we're able to run three different scenarios. And so the baseline budget, we roll forward the teachers. So we've already given them their step raises based on the teachers we have. And it's been easier this year because when you only have 23 positions, we are able to apply some assumptions to the people we're hiring. And so we feel like we have 99.5%, probably the most accurate since I've been here for 35 years, on what our salaries are going to cost based on Catherine, William, and myself working because we know we have a very tight budget. And because of that, we want to be sure that we're aware of where everybody falls on the step. And so that's why we're able to give you the numbers. We feel that the numbers you're getting are very, very accurate. And I will say for the first time, that I can say we've used Skyward correctly and we're able to do salary negotiations and be able to manipulate the numbers to tell you what it would cost. And so the only thing that I would say is we're going to look at first day attendance, And then we can make adjustments throughout the year through attrition if we do not have student enrollment. Because he opened up, we talked about the main driver is student enrollment, and it's a little unpredictable right now with what's going around, what's happening around us. We have advertised, but at the same time, we have lots of enrollment about registration, which is about the same with the increase in transfers coming into Dr. Richland, and we monitor that every week. So what we do is I monitor weekly. I send it to you guys in the board updates. And so based on those numbers, that's how we make the adjustments every year. So after the first day, we will look and see if we need to freeze any open positions, any vacant positions, so that we can hold true to the budget.
Any other questions? No? Thank you, Mr. Wood.
Mr. President, Board, thank you for your time.
On to item 10, the consent agenda. At this time, we will consider the consent agenda as presented. Is there a motion?
Mr. President, I move for approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Please indicate your vote. Motion carries 7-0. On to, bless you. Item 11A, consider approval of the, oh, we already did 11A, didn't we? Sorry. 11B, consider approval of budget amendment 4 for the month ending May 31, 2026. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the budget amendment as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there,
Yes.
yes. Is there any further discussion? 11B.
I just wanted to say how much I appreciated that report. I thought it was very well explained, so, but I didn't have any questions.
I have a quick question. What is part of like the data processing services? Like that's a big chunk. So what does that impact? It's big. Broad stroke.
That's technology. Yes, yes, ma'am.
All technology. Educational and,
Yeah.
Could be operational.
more operational.
Yeah.
Don't leave, Mr. Wooten. Sorry, one more question. Don't leave. One more, on the maintenance and operations, that took a big hit as well. Like, what will that impact?
Go to my screenshot. Report. Yep, that shows maintenance operations. Let's see, gotta find it. Go back to the, page 51, go back again, please, to the PowerPoint screenshot. Scroll up a little bit. What's the bottom, right? So, go back. We're actually moving money off of 51 to support athletics, co-curricular activities. So we're moving $200,000 from the additional facilities maintenance budget to support the projected overage in athletics. So that's what we're doing.
And athletics being,
It could be, I have to look at it, take a deeper dive, but it could be salaries, it could be contracted services, supplies, miscellaneous operating.
I think it's staffing
It's probably
for all the different events we have, because we've had more events,
That's true.
which is a good thing, but at the same time, it's just looking at where did we have some flexibility to cover in another area. So we didn't cut anybody's anything. We just moved money to cover from one area if they had extra money to cover in another area.
So we didn't lose a person to?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No,
So,
ma'am.
so like the superintendent said earlier, was when there's gaps in the budget, just say docs or vacancies, that kind of put
Can
cushion in the budget,
repurpose.
right? You know, because we're not 100% fully staffed 100% of the time, and so when we do projections and we find those holes, those gaps, we're able to capitalize on them and move them where it supports students. You know, so. Yes, ma'am.
So as a follow-up question, so all of the proposed amendment numbers, those are dollars that just were not spent
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
correctly?
So a good question. So you look at so everything.
Not correctly, did you say correctly? So it's not that they weren't spent correctly, it just might be savings,
No, I said-
okay?
No, I was correct to his question.
Yeah, they were savings, and so we repurposed it to where the needs were.
That's right.
No, I was saying
Okay.
correct to his question, not to.
Okay, I just wanted to be, I was like, wait, no, yes.
So-
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go down that we didn't do
so
it
glad
correctly,
you
yeah,
asked.
no,
So,
okay.
so you see from 41 general administration, all that red is saying we're moving money out of the kind of like the administrative services to students, which is everything above 36 really involves students. And so those functions there are directly impacting students. And then 41, like me, indirectly impacting students. And so we're moving money out of, the administration, maintenance, security services, those things, to support things that happen throughout the year with student.
So would this mean that their budgets would change for next year if they're not spending their budgeted dollars?
It could be that we also put them in with, like, we covered it through a grant or another indirect cost that we were able to take advantage of to free that up, because we have to use those funds in a special way. And so a lot of times about this time of year, we start and look at, okay, what grant had funding available that we could apply in some of these areas and free up that money to be able to go into another area to cover. So we began to look at all of the grants, how much money's left in the grant, because we don't want to leave any money on the table. So again, we're shoring up the grants.
Okay, great.
And that's a really good point, because what the superintendent does is we look at salary projections throughout the year. And if it gets a little tight, she has the discretion to say, we need to slow down spending, because we know that in the end of the day, we need to make sure that the goal is always get a balanced budget and protect that fund balance.
Perfect. And we don't really want to start affecting other people's budgets, each department's budgets, that they wouldn't appreciate that. So.
Well, we are trying to build back the capital improvement, because after the baseball field, or before the baseball field, and during the I guess Irma Marsh remodel, the money was taken from capital improvements from what Mr. Lasher managed, and it basically went down to zero. And so what we did with the funding of the energy plan, and now putting $200,000, all that money is going towards the facilities again. So we're slowly moving money, not like one big chunk, but beginning to build that budget back. And so we put in a plan over time, and we're moving money from where it was utilized and putting it back into that fund, because you guys are gonna need more money as we look at the aging facilities. And so we're slowly trying to move funds back to where the needs are, because it was basically zeroed out during that time. And so we're looked at it and like, how do we build that back so that Mr. Lasher has the funding for those capital improvements for the roofing things we don't have money for, and then which affects HVAC. So we feel like we put a plan in place, and now we're able to start slowly building that fund back up for you.
And we have a capital improvements plan as a discussion item, I believe. Is it a discussion or information item?
Just
It's always there, though.
Yeah,
information.
just information and,
So will we start seeing your plan? Will we see that at some point? How we're building up that capital improvement?
I think through this process, you'll see more money. Right now, you're gonna have $200,000 plus the energy, that's basically the energy payment, and we added $200,000 as a holding point for any issues. But that doesn't necessarily mean it might stay there. That is just if we have emergencies, that are unforeseen emergencies. So that $500,000 is actually putting the money back into the capital improvements that wasn't there, and we're just doing it so that it's lasting over several years. Now we're front-loading it.
Right, right.
So
Kind of like
that-
an escrow on the.
Yeah, and we're able to take advantage of it all at once, and we're able to bring back some savings. And so we want to see how much savings are we going to get from the energy services, because we're also adding a new facility, which is going to use more. And so we're trying to offset that. So you might not see $200,000 coming back in our pocket because we're spending $200,000 in the new facility, and that's why the proposal was to begin to also take the old footprint down, because you will not be able to afford that in the future.
Right.
So you need to take the old footprint down instead of putting money into it to make it more efficient when it comes to your electrical and your utilities. And your overall maintenance and roofing and HVAC, that will eat you up.
And with us getting rid of that footprint, that would still give every teacher a classroom. There's nobody working out of a cart.
No, ma'am.
This is-
Darla was here. We sat down with Darla, Sal Lemus, and Sal mapped out with Stephanie what Reach and Truce would look like, how many kids, teachers we need. And then we looked at the existing footprint of the new school, got with Darla, Dr. Barnes, and she's already put names and what we will be covering in the new classrooms and in the remodel. We're already working on the remodel, so there are still classrooms available on top of that. And so that was one of the first things done.
Yeah.
Can this be done?
Okay.
Especially since we're taking the old CTE area down
Right.
to free up space.
Right. And Mr. Wooten, thank you for explaining, because I think when we see the movement of, like, from the operational side to actually student, I think that's helpful for us to visually see that we're repurposing money in that way. So thank you.
And I'm going to add to this,
Thank you for
because
that.
it's actually, I'm really glad that you're asking those questions on the
Mm-hmm.
amendment, because a couple of years ago, this is what caused some of the shortfall from, it was moved from areas that really questions should have been asked. And so now I think that when you're doing your budget amendment, you can clearly see where it
Yes.
is coming from.
Yeah.
And so those are all very good questions.
Love the transparency
Yes.
of it. So thank you. Thank you for that explanation.
And so I'm wondering, how do we keep our eyeball on that as throughout the year, as a board?
When
How do we follow
and I would say we give monthly, we didn't do this prior to me. We give you monthly updates on the budget, and that's how we keep our eye on it, to be sure, because we're looking at the budget monthly, and we're making adjustments every month on what we need to do. The only thing that threw us for a curveball is the TAD and the fact that the reappraisal plan, number one, continues to be an issue. And number two, when they gave at the last minute, they gave the tax break, 70, million, whatever it was. Well, you can't eat it in 2 months if it would have been at the beginning, but we're going to get it. Now we have to jump through the hoops to get it. And so it hit this budget, so now we're like, okay, so let's put some brakes on, because that was unexpected at the last minute, but we will get it, but I wish we were getting it now. And then anytime, we also look at enrollment every week. Kelly does the spreadsheet for me, we look at it, and so that is the other thing that is something that we look at it every week, but where are we gonna land when school starts with everything going on?
And I think what I'm really wanting to know is, how are we going to make sure we're targeting capital improvement funds? How will we know how we're building it?
Well, and I think that you'll see during this process, as we're able to, and in the budget process, when you look at the departments, we have $200,000 that we haven't had that we have set aside for that, plus the the $500,000 payment is the first big move to get that money back, because now it's guaranteed. It's guaranteed on those projects and the modernization that we needed to do. So I think that you're gonna see that that's gonna be paid every year annually, and so we've kind of guaranteed that we built that back in place.
Okay, so we just need to be cognizant of that.
Absolutely.
And that
yeah. But those are all great questions, because we want to continue to build that slowly.
Because that payment seems to increase or decrease. Because it wasn't, like, I know it starts
Yeah,
at 461,000,
Yeah.
and then it changes.
Just a little, though, and
Not a
then,
lot.
yeah, not
So
a lot.
we're
And
still-
also, there are some possibilities there might be extra funding in the future to help with that, but I'm not even going to open that
Right,
can of worms
right,
up, okay? But just know, there are things out there that we might be able to apply for, that we're aware of.
Fantastic.
Okay.
And I think one last question, and I know I'm asking for a lot, but Mr. Wooten, is there any possible way, I mean, are you guys anticipating, I'm going to go back to your crystal ball image, are you anticipating that there may be a possible way to get those raises for our people who aren't slated to get a raise? Just because, I mean, everybody's working hard, and that's going to probably keep me up tonight
I think
and
the
overnight.
and it is hard. The crystal ball is truly a crystal ball. Where will we land on enrollment? Enrollment, if we look at our weighted funding for students, think of every student as nearly $13,000 if they were here every day. We did increase our attendance rate, which is great, but if we do not have enrollment, we will not have money. It's the only driving factor, because how it's paid doesn't matter. Does it come from state aid, or does it actually come from local property value? It doesn't matter. It's all based on our student enrollment and how they're weighted. So one thing increases it right now, because in the new legislative session, the other thing I'm going to say is there's the education committee. There, you can turn in and listen to them now, and what you're hearing are districts begging and pleading with them over the deficit budgets that they have. They have them in the millions. And so, a lot of it goes to student enrollment and other things that are when we do get increases, notice it has to go to a very specific item. And so that limits what we can even do with the funding that we're getting. So this next legislative session is going to really be important to advocate for public ed, just because that is a hot topic right now, is the funding. And so there's so many people that are in the same boat going, we can only project so much. But I would like to say, Linda, that everybody got a 10% raise. I mean, that's what we want. So we're very disappointed in that fact. But at the same time, I want to keep our highly qualified teachers, because the other option would be to let people go to give raises. And I think if you ask the team, they all want to keep they're nodding their head, they want to keep their teammates out there because that they work with every day. And let's stick it out another year until this legislators see what they do.
Maybe we could do again, just for peace of mind and for like optics, like what percentage of the people who aren't getting something are part of the longevity pay and that kind of thing?
So I have an idea. So we did talk to Mr. Wooten about this. This impacts this, is if we get a huge increase in enrollment, we can always go back and do a one-time payment. I would not include it in the general salary. We could say at this point, because of our increase in our revenues, we're going to project it from student enrollment, we can give a one-time payment while we wait for the legislators. So it's not that we couldn't go back and do it.
Yeah, good point.
And it's good to note in the news that some schools are filing bankruptcy.
That's true, absolutely. Yeah.
We've had a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President, for reminding me of that motion.
We've had a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? It's a good discussion. Please indicate your vote. Motion carries 7-0. On to information items, 12. Is it anything we need to jump into? Anything anybody wants to jump into? Is it all information readily available? Go ahead. Hold on. All right, we're going to jump to 13A, board key dates. We have a meeting next Monday, which is a hearing. If anybody has any questions on that, please email me and I will get with Dennis and make sure everybody's prepared as best we can be. Okay. So,
That is what time?
6 p.m.
I'm also not here. I'm due to return. Don't know that I'll be here on time.
So,
And then our attorneys will just go over the procedures with us that night. So we
Yes.
don't need to be prepared in any way other than know how to.
Mr. Eichelbaum will meet with you and go over the guidelines.
then we have another board meeting, the budget meeting on the 15th at 6 p.m. And that's all we really have in June. There was,
I did want to point out something really exciting that's happening Wednesday. Dr. Richland, Wednesday, we have some visitors. TEA will be in the district, and they're bringing 70 of their closest friends to come and look at our district, to look at our additional day school year program.
That's right. It's very exciting. So we will have about 60 visitors, plus, of course, like Ms. Smith-Faulkner said, visitors from TEA and Region 11. But we will have other district visitors from all over, from multiple different regions coming to visit our summer program. So we're very excited about this opportunity on Wednesday. They'll be visiting AV Cato, and they'll be with us all day long from 7:30 until 3 o'clock to see the entire program from arrival all the way through dismissal. It's exciting.
Is it local districts or everywhere, all over?
Multiple regions from all over, like Region 20 will be here, Region 11, Region 6, I think, regions from all over. Yes.
Did you guys get on your master meeting calendar? You should have a copy. You didn't get one? Angela, did you have their master meeting calendar? Kelly, I thought, did y'all work on that today? Can you please print a copy for them? And then we can bring it up, Angela. Well, we can use this. I think you can see it. So what we did is we added 4 board workshops so that you would be able to look at your schedules periodically through the year so that we could focus on the priorities. And when we did our needs assessment, remember, we identified some areas that we need to work on. And so I thought in July, I would look at the needs assessment and kind of bring some items that we could work on during the board workshop so that on those particular days, we could close down and work through the needs assessment where we identified areas that we were at a 1 or a 2 and begin to work on our Lone Star governance. And so these were the dates, and these are also all the dates for the school board meetings next year. And you can see our ALT meetings and everything are all on this on this document. So just want to be sure that you have these on your calendar.
When is the first day of school again?
August, where's Abby? 13th.
Okay. So when do we need to get back with you on the board on these dates?
Well, we've had the dates except the board workshops.
Right, for the workshops. As soon as we can. August is the only one that might be a problem for me.
It was really hard in looking at what's going on in the district and busy times.
It should be fine.
If we need to take it to 3, we can take it to 3, but I thought that y'all said 4 in the beginning. Mondays. Right, Kelly, Mondays? Yeah.
What did you say? That she said rat killing Monday. When's Thursday? The 13th? A Thursday?
These are intended to provide, the Lone Star leadership, we talked about, board meetings need to be focused on, kids and their outcomes. And these can focus on, what we need to do, adult issues, So, and/or training. So, yeah.
I thought the needs assessment clearly gave us some guidance on our next steps.
And they would count towards team work and the team of 8.
Only if we hire someone, but I think we can do it. I think I can help lead it. Yeah.
I wonder though if you could get certified so we could get our hours. Yeah. I mean, not certified, registered.
You do have your team of 8 credit already based on the work session that you did on the 11th?
For next year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, you're off the hook.
Angela, do we all have it? I just remember her sharing that we would get an email with the certificate, and I didn't receive an email with the certificate.
She sent the certificates.
To you?
She sent the certificates to me.
Okay.
Yeah, she sent them to me, and I have already entered them and updated on TASB. So if you look at your TASB credit hours, you'll see that you do have that credit.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
And then on 13C, I wanted you to see that I left the district scorecard, like the superintendent scorecard and our House Bill 3 scorecards. And so it has our progress monitoring throughout the year. And then you'll see the green checks where we met various, either a DIP goal or a strategic plan goal, and just some of the priorities that I had. So you can see we progress monitored throughout the year, and we just tracked our color coding, and I felt like we did a really good job with a one-pager. And then I left, when we did Lone Star governance, we had this page right here, because these are the board goals. These are the board House Bill goals for 3rd grade literacy, 3rd grade numeracy, and the CCMR. And so this year, we met the first measure in all areas, and we increased our guardrail for our attendance. And then when we have accountability, I'll add that. But that was part of the measurement, progress monitoring. Those are all the documents now.
Next item, establish next meeting, 14A, Monday, June 8th for the special board meeting, and Monday, June 15th for a regular board meeting. And on to item 15, I move we adjourn. Hearing no objection, we stand adjourned at 9:23 PM. Thank you.
Staff that's here, if you're supposed to be here at 7:30.